Christians from several denominations share the site. According to the status quo of 1757, Greek Orthodox, Roman Catholic, and Armenian Orthodox churches all had rights to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. Not an agreement by the churches themselves, the status quo was a pronouncement by the Turkish Sultan at the time, Osman Roman III, and applied to numerous sites in the Holy Land. With respect to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, the arrangement has remained in place. Other denominations, including Coptic, Ethiopian, and Syriac Orthodox churches, have been added and now share duties at the church. Some parts of the church are shared by different groups, while other sections are reserved for exclusive use by one denomination or another. Some areas of the church are still disputed. Fights and arguments are common. For example, in 2008, Armenian Christians took issue with Greek Orthodox officials that wanted to post a guard in the Aedicule. A brawl erupted, and 2 monks were arrested, a bearded Armenian monk and a Greek Orthodox monk bleeding from a gash on his forehead. The best example of maintaining the actual status quo, however, is the immovable ladder. A ladder was placed against one of the walls of the church at some point during the 18th or 19th centuries. 1852 is one offered date, but because no one knows who did it, it hasn't been moved since. The risk of upending the balance at the site is too great. Eastern Orthodox Christians call it the Church of the Resurrection. The Eastern Orthodox Church is based in the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, but they call it the Church of the Resurrection. Eastern or Greek Orthodox Catholicism formally split from the Western Catholic Church in 1054 due to differences in doctrine and practice. The Eastern Orthodox Church emphasizes a conciliarity, focusing on the teachings of church councils and synods. There are several patriarchs within the Eastern Orthodox Church, 2 that have thrones in the church, the Patriarch of Antioch and Patriarch of Jerusalem. There are several stations of the cross carried out along the Via Dolorosa. When doing the Stations of the Cross in Jerusalem, the Via Dolorosa, or Way of the Cross in Jerusalem, is a path of 14 stations that Christian pilgrims must conduct to represent the final actions and suffering of Christ. Station X, where Jesus was stripped of his clothes, is done at the entrance to Calvary, and Station Roman 11, when Jesus was nailed to the cross, is conducted at the Roman Catholic altar. Station Roman 12, when Jesus died on the cross, is done at the main Greek Orthodox altar, while Station Roman 13, commemorating when Jesus' body was removed from the cross, is done to the left of the main altar. The final station, when Jesus was laid in the tomb, is understandably done at the Aedicule. There are over 30 chapels in the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. The number of worship spaces in the Church of the Holy Sepulchre are perhaps infinite, but there are more than 30 specially designated chapels in the church. Each chapel has a unique significance, and they have developed over time. For example, the Coptic chapel is located directly behind the Aedicule. There is a chapel of Joseph of Arimathea and Saint Nicodemus, the 2 men that buried Christ, where worshippers celebrate on certain feast days. At the chapel of the apparition of Jesus to his mother, an 11th century edition commemorates when Jesus appeared to his mother after his resurrection. The chapel of St. Longinus is dedicated to the Roman solider that pierced Jesus' side with a spear but then accepted him as the Son of God. The chapel of St. Helena is completely underground, while the chapel of the Franks, built by Franciscans, is near the Calvary. Inside is the stone of the anointing where Jesus' body was supposedly prepared for burial. The stone of anointing, now perhaps an 18th century recreation of the original, indicates the point just inside the Church of the Sepulchre where Joseph of Arimathea prepared Christ's body for burial. This is retold in all four Gospels. According to John 19:38-42, Joseph of Arimathea asked Pilate for the body of Jesus. Now Joseph was a disciple of Jesus, but secretly because he feared the Jewish leaders. With Pilate's permission, he came and took the body away. He was accompanied by Nicodemus, the man who earlier had visited Jesus at night. Nicodemus brought a mixture of myrrh and aloes, about 75 pounds. Taking Jesus' body, the two of them wrapped it, with the spices, in strips of linen. This was in accordance with Jewish burial customs. At the place where Jesus was crucified, there was a garden, and in the garden a new tomb, in which no one had ever been laid. Because it was the Jewish day of preparation, and since the tomb was nearby, they laid Jesus there. The tomb of Joseph of Arimathea is also found in the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. And again, there are several stories that connect Joseph of Arimathea to Glastonbury, England, and the Holy Grail. Researchers found numerous tombs under the church. The discovery of a network of tunnels and limestone chambers was equally surprising for the National Technical University of Athens research team in 2016. They found at least half a dozen such tombs have been identified within the grounds of the church, in addition to the tomb traditionally believed to be the burial place of Jesus. These tombs are believed to have been where wealthy Jewish individuals were interred. While the findings offer a new timeline of the burials at the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, there is still no definitive evidence that Jesus' tomb is one of those found. There's a rock of the Calvary that people can touch. Located within the Church of the Holy Sepulchre is a piece of limestone rock from the Calvary Hill, also known as Golgotha. The rock is within a silver disc that sits on the Greek altar in the church. People can touch the rock through a hole in the disc, which indicates where people believe the cross stood. Just next to where people can reach and touch the rock, there is a visible portion of the rock behind glass. This portion is fractured, supposedly a break that occurred during an earthquake that took place when Christ died. Crusaders rebuilt the church after they recaptured Jerusalem. During the 11th and 12th centuries, Western Crusaders rebuilt the church and brought the tomb and the Golgotha under a single dome. The First Crusade, launched by Pope Urban Roman II in the late 11th century, successfully recaptured Jerusalem for Christianity in 1099. Afterwards, one of the goals of the Crusaders was to restore the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. The Crusader presence at the church is fundamental to its development, and it has been generally believed that the tomb of Jesus was buried by the Crusaders. Recently, researchers have discovered walls, rock, and limestone cave from 1700 years ago. This places the timing of the initial cladding of the tomb during the reign of Constantine. The Brotherhood of the Holy Sepulchre guard the church. The Brotherhood of the Holy Sepulchre are an Eastern Orthodox Christian monastic group tasked with guarding the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, as well as other holy sites in the Holy Land. The Brotherhood has been in existence since the 4th century when they were established by Constantine. In addition to protecting and defending holy sites, members of the Brotherhood carry out religious ceremonies at the church regularly. The Brotherhood is made up of Greek and Arab members, but patriarchs and bishops are only drawn from the Greek members. Persian and Muslim attacks repeatedly damaged the site. The Church of the Holy Sepulchre was damaged when the Persians attacked Jerusalem in 614, although it was restored shortly thereafter. There were numerous earthquakes that shook the church during the Middle Ages, but its eventual destruction was caused by Fatimid Caliph al-Hakam Bo-Amr Allah in 1009. Caliph Hakam, as he was known, supposedly desecrated the church to rebuke the taunts that he was, in fact, Christian. In the 1040s, the Byzantine Empire was able to repair the church, which was still in Muslim hands. Despite the repairs in the mid-11th century, Caliph Hakam's attack on the church was one of the justifications for the Crusaders when they marched to the Holy Land late in the 11th century. Constantine's mother discovered the tomb of Jesus. Constantine ordered the pagan temple of Hadrian be destroyed, revealing the rock tomb beneath. According to Christian scholars, Constantine's mother, Helena, was the one that rediscovered the tomb. After the tomb was unearthed, they found 3 crosses in the sepulchre. One of these was that blessed cross on which Christ had hung. The other 2 were those on which the 2 thieves that were crucified with him had died. With these was also found the tablet of Pilate, on which he had inscribed in various characters that the Christ who was crucified was King of the Jews. They found the true cross by healing a dying woman with it, and the emperor's mother erected over the place of the sepulchre a magnificent church. Constantine provided all of the resources needed and built churches over site of Jesus' burial, as well as where he had been crucified on Golgotha. The church was a pagan site during the 2nd century. Around the year 135 CE, Roman Emperor Hadrian d. 138 supposedly built a pagan temple dedicated to the Roman goddess Venus over the top of Jesus' tomb. Whether or not Hadrian did this to try to eliminate the significance of Jesus has been disputed by scholars. According to 4th century historian Eusebius of Caesarea, Hadrian and pagans in the empire did this intentionally, building a gloomy shrine of lifeless idols to the impure spirit whom they call Venus, and offering detestable oblations therein on profane and accursed altars. For they supposed that their object could not otherwise be fully attained than by thus burying the sacred cave beneath these foul pollutions. Eusebius, however, was writing about Constantine, the 4th century Roman emperor, and was biased in his presentation of Constantine's treatment of the site. Researchers were in awe of what they found within Jesus' tomb. Researchers from the National Technical University of Athens had only 60 hours to work within the Aedicule. Despite initial investigations confirming debris under 16th century marble cladding, researchers unearthed something much more exciting. They found a slab of marble with a cross engraved into it, dating back to the time of the Crusades. National Geographic's archaeologist in residence, Frederick Hebert, told the magazine that he was absolutely amazed. "My knees are shaking a little bit because I wasn't expecting this. We can't say 100%, but it appears to be visible proof that the location of the tomb has not shifted through time, something that scientists and historians have wondered for decades." The team photographed and filmed their discovery, offering visual documentation of the layers of the tomb for the first time ever. Researchers also confirmed the presence of the original limestone from the cave walls where Jesus was entombed within the Aedicule. They cut a window in the wall of the shrine, making the cave walls visible for the first time in centuries. Jesus' tomb is located in a 16th century Aedicule. With the continuous presence of pilgrims at the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, many of whom have tried to take a piece of the tomb with them, it became necessary to keep the tomb safe. It was placed in a shrine called the Aedicule or Little House. Made out of marble and decorated with elaborate carvings, the present Aedicule was built during the 16th century by Franciscans. In 2016, the marble from on top of the tomb was removed for the first time since the 16th century. Repairs were needed, but researchers were surprised by what they found. Once they removed the marble covering, they found debris, presumably from the original limestone bed. They then found another marble slab below, however, possibly from the 12th century.
Hey guys, thank you so much for the support and likes and comments down below, and also thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to see you in the next video. Then take care, bye.